Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how to decoupage scallop shells. The materials you'll be using are scallop shells, napkins of any design you would like to use, white acrylic paint, paintbrush, Mod Podge, scissors, gold acrylic paint, or you could use a gold permanent paint marker. So this is a scallop shell I'll be using, and if you notice it has a lot of beautiful natural colors to it. Unfortunately on the back it also has that, and when you're doing decoupage that will show through. So you get your white acrylic paint and you want to paint the shell white so it doesn't show through when you do your decoupage. So I'm going to paint my shell inside completely white, and I'm trying to also leave it nice and smooth so it doesn't have any bumps. And then once you're done, go ahead and allow it to dry. Now that my shell is dried on the inside, and as you can see the color on the outside is still there, I'm going to go ahead and measure my napkin to do the decoupage for my shell. I'm going to put my napkin upside down, I'm going to put my shell on top of my napkin, and then I'm going to draw sort of like a circle around my shell, leaving a little extra on the outside, so when I go ahead and put it onto my shell I won't be short of the napkin and I'll have plenty of napkin to work with. Now that you have your outline, go ahead and take your scissors and cut your outline all the way around. It doesn't have to be perfect. Alright, I'm done cutting. I want to go ahead and measure to make sure that the shell will fit there perfectly. So I definitely have enough space. I'll try to line it up the way I want it to face. And then I'm going to run into a dilemma. I'm going to have extra napkin sticking out. So the best way to fix this situation is I'm going to take that little section right there and I'm going to cut it down the middle. And then that way I could then overlap the pieces together. And I'm going to try to overlap it so that the section I want to show will show through and the section I don't doesn't. So I notice as I measure it again, I'm still going to have a lot more overlapping. So I'm going to go ahead and take my scissors again and cut down a little bit further. So you need to go ahead and measure that as you're doing it. Okay. So I noticed that I'm ready to start, but I do not like the way it's facing, so I'm going to go ahead and put this side above the other side. So when I put Mod Podge on the shell, this is the way I want it to look. So make sure that you have it lined the way you're going to want it to look, and you're going to have to push out all the wrinkles when you go ahead and do it. Now take your Mod Podge, and you're going to need a paintbrush, and you're going to go ahead and apply the Mod Podge onto your shell, and you want to completely cover the shell from the center all the way to the outside of the edges. Okay, so take your napkin and make sure you lined it a way you want it to go on your thing, and make sure you have edges on the bottom because you're going to be pressing the napkin into the shell. so it's going to go ahead and take up more space. Now the first thing I did is I wanted to make sure that I have the line lined up where it's going to be, where the slice is, that it measures up well. And then once I have that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to gently push out the napkin and make sure that there is no wrinkles showing. You could always lift it up and reset it again, so don't be afraid to do that. Worst case scenario, it breaks, just get another piece of napkin and redo it again. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure all of it is pressed nice and smooth and there are no wrinkles. All right, so I'm pretty satisfied the way it's coming out, but I have this piece and I want to make sure that it stays down too. So I'm going to grab my paintbrush and add a little Mod Podge to the back of the napkin and stick it on to the other part of the napkin so that it sticks well and doesn't come apart. Now that you have glued it all together, I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut around the shell. Now this could be done after you put the Mod Podge on and you've glued the napkin to the shell, or you could do it after it's completely dry. I'm going to go ahead and do it now. It really doesn't make that much of a difference, but it's really going to be up to you to decide what you want to do. Don't worry about getting a perfect cut around the shell. You will go back and you go ahead and trim it after you have cut the excess napkin off. This is where I grab a little tiny pair of scissors just to do some trimming. You don't have to do this right now, you could do this later, but this is the part where I like to trim the little pieces, the excess pieces that are still sticking out that kind of bother me. Alright, so after I have completely cut off all the little excess pieces, I go back and I get my Mod Podge and I go ahead and add it to the edges of my scallop and napkin. I want to make sure that the napkin is completely sealed to the shell and the edges are nice and tight on there and they're not going to come loose when I'm done with this. So now that I'm done sealing the edges, I'm going to go ahead and let it dry. Alright, it looks like it's completely dry. It feels completely dry. So now my next step is to reapply the Mod Podge. I'm going to completely apply it to the top of the shelf. You want to make sure that you get complete coverage. You're going to put it all over the top and on the edges. Now the Mod Podge now will work as a sealant and will cover up the napkin completely, so that it will give it a sheen as well to it. So once you're done giving your shell a nice coat of Mod Podge, you need to let it dry again. Okay, now that my shell is completely dry, it's time to go ahead and add the trim. You could either paint it on with a gold paint, this one you can see, or you could use a permanent marker, gold permanent marker. I'm going to go ahead and use the gold permanent marker this time. So what you want to do is you want to start with a very thin trim at the beginning. And then as you go along, if you want to thicken that trim, you could go ahead and go back into it and thicken it. Alright, I just finished trimming the edge of the scallop, and I have decided I'm going to go back over it and I'm going to thicken my trim just a little bit more. So I'm done with the trimming, and I kind of gave it a thin trim, not a very thick one. Now here's another one I've done in the past, and you can see how one is a little bit thicker than the other. So it's just a matter of taste, which one you like more. I hope you enjoyed this video on how to make decoupage scallop shells. If you like this video, please like and subscribe below.